Good afternoon, dear students. Today we are going to see about the cellular concept. Okay, up to the in the second unit we already studied about the multiple access technique, that is the FDMA, TDMA, and CDMA. So today we are going to see about the concept cellular concept. Okay. Let's start. Just I'm going to give you some introduction about the cellular concept. Okay, so we know the mobile wireless technology start early, right? So in the early mobile system, what about this thing? The coverage, it cover a large area by using a single high power transmitter with an antenna mounted on a tall tower. Okay, what is it? So in that, in we know the mobile phones are we are using mobile phones nowadays, right? In the early days there will be a low number of mobile phone users. Okay, so at that time we just need a high power transmitter alone. Okay, just for using a for a large coverage area. Okay, so in the early mobile radio system, we can use a single high power transmitter which use the large coverage area, which cover a large area. Okay, so here in that the early mobile system there is no frequency reuse. The interference will be low since there will be less number of users. Okay, so we know in the 1990s and all the mobile users are very rare, right? So nowadays only the mobile users will increase. So in the early days there will be no frequency reuse, there will be no interference while using the mobile phones, and the capacity also will be reduced. Okay, so we are just so now what about the concept? Now the number of mobile users is increased, so what we have to do, we are just for that we are just going for a cellular concept. Okay, so what we do in the cellular concept is it will solve the problem of spectral conjunction and user capacity. Okay, it will just we know we are using many multiple access techniques are we are using. So in the cellular concept we are just solving the problem of spectral conjunction and user capacity. Okay, so we know the number of users are increased, right? So in place of a single high power transmitter we are just replacing it with many low power transmitter, or it is also called low power transmitter using a smaller cells. Okay, that is splitting a large cell into smaller cell. Okay, for just providing the better power transmitted power as well as better capacity to the better efficiency to the user. Okay, so it will provide the each which provide a coverage area to okay, we are just dividing the larger cell into smaller cell which provide the coverage to the small area. Small cell provide coverage to the small area. Okay, that is it will replace a single high power transmitter with many low power transmitter. It is high power transmitter is using large cell, so here we are splitting the large cell into smaller cell. Okay, so we know for the particular for a large cell, if we are considering large cell means if we are allocating 50 heads or 100 heads means, suppose if we are dividing into small cells means each cells we can say, if we are 100 using 100 heads for large cells means we can say 10 heads for each small cells. Okay, if we are dividing into 10 equal cells means we can divide the frequency to 10 10 heads to each of the cell. Okay, that is the large cell and small cell concept, and each cell having a separate base station. Okay, in the high power large cell there will be a large base station, so replacing it with the smaller cells means we are just replacing with the smaller base station. Okay, so each base station is allocated a portion of the total number of channel available to the entire system. So the frequency we already use will be used by the another cell. Okay, that we will discuss later. So the available channel can be reused as many time as necessary, so long as the co-channel interference is kept below the acceptable level. What is co-channel? If we know there are various cells, right? So if the two cells are using same frequency, we can say it as a co-channel cells that you will study later. Okay, if it is using different channel means it is what? Adjacent channel interference. Okay, if there is interference between the two channel which use the same set of frequency, we can say it is the co-channel interference. And if there is an interference between the two channels which use different set of frequency, it's called adjacent channel interference. So here is the cellular system. Okay, from the figure, I think it's from the figure itself you will understand the cellular system. Okay, here in this figure, here A, suppose if we are considering this, A means it is a cell. Okay, A, B, C, D, they all are cell. This is a cell, like that. Okay, each cell is then assigned to a unique channel set Cn. Okay, here what about the adjacent? If we consider A, what about the adjacent cells of A? We can say B, C, D, E, F, G are all the adjacent cell of the A, adjacent cell of A. What is co-channel cells? Co-channel cells means the letters that is marked as A. If we are considering the center A, the next A where it is, so the letters which use, sorry, the letters A, what all the letters here A which is marked as, what are the cells here which are marked as A, it uses the same set of frequency, that is called co-channel cells. Okay, that is here the cells that are marked as A use the same set of frequency. Okay, that is called co-channel cells. Okay, so if there is an interference between these cells, A means if there is an interference between all the A's means we can say it is a co-channel interference. Okay, what is adjacent cell? If we are considering the center E and the nearby cells B, Z, D, E, F, G, that cells are called adjacent cells. Suppose if we are considering B, what about the adjacent cell G, A, C, F, D, E, etc. are the adjacent cell. Okay. So now the question is why we are using hexagonal shape. Okay, there will be various shapes: circular shape, triangular shape, square shape, rectangle, hexagon, octagon. Why we are just preferring the hexagonal shape? So if we are in the figure itself, three circles are there, right? If we are using circular shape, there will be a gap at the center of the three circles, right? So if we are placing base station in each of circle, in the portion, in the gap portion, the coverage will not, the network will not reach. So we can't able to use the circular shape since it does not provide coverage to the gap portion. Okay, so just we can use either triangular shape, rectangular shape, or a hexagonal shape. Normally what we can use all these shape, not we cannot use circular shape. Okay, since there is we cannot able to provide coverage to the gap portion. So here in this we are just using prefer hexagonal shape. Why we are using hexagonal shape? Because this hexagonal shape, it is close to the circle. Okay, when we use the hexagonal shape, when you look onto the A, B, C, D, F, G figure, there is no gap. Okay, that is from the base station, from the transmitting antenna, the coverage is going to all area. Okay, so there is no problem in that. Okay, that is the cellular system. Next we are going to see about the first topic, frequency reuse. Okay, what is frequency reuse? From the name itself we can say it, reusing the same frequency. which cell can use the same set of frequency. We in the last figure we know the cells marked at this using the same letter use the same set of frequency, right? How we can allocate that we are going to discuss in this frequency reuse. Okay, so here in this, each cellular base station, what is cellular base station means? It is a transmitting antenna. Okay, in the A portion there will be an antenna. In C cell there is an antenna, D cell there is an antenna, E cell there is an antenna. In each cell there will be an antenna, that is called a base station. Okay, that is a transmitting antenna. So each cellular base station is allocated a group of radio channel within a small geographical area, that is called a cell. Okay, this cell, if we are considering a cell, means in the A cell there is a base station. So for in that base station a particular amount of radio channels is assigned, which provide a coverage area to some location. That coverage is called a cell. So as we told earlier, the neighboring cells, suppose if we take A and C, both cells are assigned what channels? Different channel group. It does not use the same set of channel group. Okay, it will assign different channel group. Okay. By limiting the coverage area to within the boundary of the cell, the channel groups may be reused to cover different cell. We know, suppose if we are using same set of frequency, means what about it? We are just reusing that frequency. If we are using A for a set of frequency for A and same set of frequency for another A, we are just what we are doing, we are just reusing that same set of frequency. So what about the use of frequency reuse? It just keep the interference level with tolerable limits. Okay, so here in this figure it groups there are 7 groups, A to G. Okay, that is, so this is called a cluster. Okay, this 7 cluster is repeating. Okay, in the first cluster, the figure in the top left corner, we can say it is a cluster. In the next one, it is a next cluster. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, it is a cluster, and the next A, B, C, D, E, F, it is a next cluster. That is 7 groups of channels. Here we are using just 7 group of channels to form a cluster. Okay, so next, footprint of a cell. What is a footprint of a cell? That is the actual radio coverage. Okay, if we are considering A, means there will be a base station. Okay, so this base station cover how much area? Okay, that is, it will provide the radio coverage to which portion? That is the footprint of the cell. Here in this we are using two types of antenna, omnidirectional antenna versus directional antenna. What is the difference between omnidirectional versus directional antenna? The omnidirectional antenna, it provides coverage to all area. Okay, it provides the coverage to the full surroundings of that transmitting antenna. What is directional antenna? It will just provide the coverage area to a particular direction. Okay, suppose if this is a directional antenna, means it will provide coverage to the particular area. Okay, this. What is omnidirectional antenna? If this is an antenna, means it will provide coverage to provide signal in the circular area. That is the concept. Do you understand? Okay, next. So here if we are considering, okay, S is the total number of duplex channel available for use. Okay, K is the number of channel assigned to a cell. Okay, so what is S? S is the number of duplex channels. Okay, number of channels available. Okay, what is K? K is the number of channels assigned to a cell. Okay, And what is n? N is the number of cells sharing the X duplex channel. Okay, so we can say S is equal to K into N. That is, total duplex channel is equal to number of cells into number of channels assigned. Okay, for each cells we are assigning some channels, right? So that number of cells into number of channels assigned, which gives the total number of duplex channel. Okay. So what is next? A cluster. What is cluster? A group of n cell use the complete set of available frequency. Okay, that is suppose if we are providing 100 heads, means this 100 heads is used by the n cells. Okay, this, so these n cells is called a cluster. Okay, which use the complete set of available frequency. So C is the total number of duplex channel with frequency reuse. Okay, total number of duplex channel. So C is equal to M into Kn. What is M? M is the number of clusters. Okay, so for each cell we are provide for the total number of duplex channel available is S, and for what is S? S is equal to K into N. That is the number of channels assigned into number of cells. So what is C? That is the total number of duplex channel with frequency reuse. Okay, in a particular in the figure, this total figure, it shows the what total number of duplex channel with frequency reuse. So M is the number of replica of a cluster. So C is equal to M into K into N. Okay, K into N we can represent it as S. So M into S. Cluster size N is typically of, normally the cluster size goes like 4, 7, 12, etc. Okay, for hexagonal shape cell. Then here is another one, the frequency reuse factor is 1 by N. Okay. So this figure shows the cluster size. Okay, various cluster size. First one, so if you are using 4 cell, means the first figure shows the cluster hexagonal various cluster size for the hexagonal cell. Then the second one, 7 cell reuse, then 12 cell, then 19 cell, then n cells, means there will be n number of cells to form a single cluster. Okay, here in the first one 4 cells form a cluster, in the second one 7 cells form a cluster, in this third one 12 cells form a cluster, and the fourth one 19 cells form a cluster, and in the last n cell reuse, means n cells will together form a cluster. Okay, so now this is the important part of this. Okay, how we are going to find the co-channel cell, that is locating co-channel cells in a hexagonal cells. Okay, so here an example is given. N is equal to 19, I is equal to 3, J is equal to 2. Suppose if they just give, this is just one, if they just give I and J, and if they ask to find the cluster size, you have to use the equation. The total number of cells in the cluster must satisfy the following equation, that is N is equal to I square plus J square plus I into J. That is the number of co-channels, that is the number of cells in a cluster. We have to find it. Okay, so here just there is two conditions to find the co-channel cells. Okay, to find out the co-channel neighbors of a particular cell, we have to follow two steps. Okay, first one, move I cell along any chain of hexagon. Here in the example it is given as I is equal to 3 and J is equal to 2. Just have a look onto the figure. Consider the center A. Okay, from the center A through the chain. Okay, through that chain, this one is the chain. Okay, this one is the chain. Okay, that chain. Okay, we know hexagon has 6 shape, so through each side, okay, see it has 6 sides, so each side we have to move I cell. if we consider center cell, then we are just moving I is equal to 3. Just see that portion. Okay, I is equal to 3. Move I cell along any chain of the hexagon 1 2 3. Okay, after moving to I cell, take a 60 counterclockwise. Okay, then we have to turn 60 counterclockwise and then move J cell here. After turning it, then we have to move J cell. J here, J is equal to 2, so 1 2, that is the next place where we have to mark the co-channel cell. Did you understand? Okay, so if I is equal to 3 and J is equal to 2 means, what about the number of cells in the cluster? That is n is equal to I square plus J square plus Ij. That is n is equal to 3 square plus 2 square plus 3 into 2, that is equal to 19. This is how we have to locate the co-channel cells. Okay, that all about the frequency reuse. Next we are going to see about the channel assignment strategies. Okay, so what is channel assignment? Assigning channels. Okay, so what is the main purpose of channel assignment? So here the main purpose of the channel assignment strategy is, it is mainly used to increase the capacity. Okay, to increase the capacity as well as to minimize the interference. Okay, so for the purpose of this, we are using the channel assignment strategy just to increase the capacity as well as to reduce the interference. It can be classified into two things. Channel assignment strategy can be classified into two, that is fixed channel assignment and dynamic channel assignment. Okay, fixed channel assignment and dynamic channel assignment. What is fixed channel assignment? So in the fixed channel assignment, in each cell is allocated a predetermined set of OS channel. Okay, so in this, each cell is allocated a predetermined set of OS channel. Okay, so the any call attempt within the cell can only be served by the unused channel in that particular cell. Okay, so for each cell we are just allocating a predetermined cell of set of OS channel, and if there is a new call arise means, it will be served by the unused channel. If there is 5 channels means, first user is using first channel. If we consider 3 users will be there means, 3 channels will be used by 3 users. Okay, so if there is any new calls will be there, the 4th channel will be automatically assigned. That is the thing, fixed channel assignment. Okay, so using that allocated channel, they can do the entire communication. Okay, so if all the channels occupies means, the call will be blocked. Okay, sometimes when we make a call, the call will not be connected. Okay, so that is mainly because of this, that is all the channels are in use. So what we have to do is, that is there is a borrowing strategy. Okay, these all things are controlled by base station, mobile switching center, PSTN, that you will study later. What is MSC? Mobile switching center. What is base station? Okay, so borrowing strategies, we know there will be various cells. Okay, the borrowing strategies means we have to borrow the channels from the neighbors. Okay, just for the use. If there is an unused channels in the neighboring cells means, we can able to borrow that channel for our use. Okay, these all will be controlled by the mobile switching center. Okay, that is the fixed channel assignment. Then the next one, dynamic channel assignment. Okay, so in the dynamic channel assignments, the channels are allocated. Okay, here in the fixed channel, each cell is allocated with a predetermined OS channel. In the dynamic channels, so if we are going to make a call, we have to request for a channel. Okay, then only they will allocate the channel. That is the dynamic channel. That is based on the request, they will allocate the channels. That is, channels are not allocated to the cells permanently. Allocate the channels will based on the request. on each call request. So the base station, we are from the mobile, we are just giving a request to the base station. So the base station requests a channel from the mobile switching center. Okay, so the mobile switching center allocates a channel. Okay, after seeing this, they will allocate a channel. Okay, so the MSC allocates a given frequency if the frequency is not presently in use in the cell or any other cell. Okay, so it will provide the a set of frequency for the use. Okay, based on the request. So here in this, it will reduce the likelihood of blocking, and also it will increase the capacity. Okay, in the first fixed channel assignment, if there is a if all the channels are in use, means there is a thing to there is a strategy for of blocking. Okay, so in the dynamic channel assignments, it will reduce the likelihood of blocking and it will increase the capacity. Okay, so these are about the channel assignment strategy. Next topic is handoff. Okay, today we are going, the last topic we are going to discuss is handoff, and it is a very important topic in the in this unit. Okay, handoff. What is a handoff? Okay, I'm just asking you, what is handoff? Just handing off to another one. Okay, that is the meaning of the handoff. So in this cellular system, we know if we are considering two hexagonal cells, nearby two hexagonal cells, means in the nearby two hexagonal cells there is a base station. Okay, so from the suppose if a vehicle is moving and suppose if a mobile user is moving through the cell, and if that mobile user signal is connecting to the first base station, okay, first cell, then if he is moving to the next cell, means what about the coverage area? The coverage from the first base station will be lost, right? So just to avoid that purpose, we have to hand the or hand all the information. Okay, handing over the base station which is controlling that mobile to the next base station of the nearby cell where the user goes. Okay, so after moving to the next base station, it receives the signals and all from the second base station. Okay, that is the process, that is the handoff. Okay, when a mobile moves in a different cell, when a conversation is in progress, the mobile switching center automatically transfers the call to a new channel belonging to a new base station. So here there will be two operations is necessary. That is, we have to identify the new base station. Suppose if a car is moving from one cell to another cell, we have to identify the base station where the car is moving. Okay. So then we have to reallocate the voice and control channels with the new base station. Okay. Suppose if there is no voice or control channels, means the call will be dropped. Okay. So we have to reallocate the voice and control channel with the new base station. Okay. So just I will show you a figure. Okay. This is the thing. Okay, so here the first BS1 and BS2, and a car is moving from from A cell to B cell. Okay, so when the car is in the first A cell, means the signal, uh, the mobile get the signal from BS1, mobile get the control signal from BS1. So if the mobile is moving from BS1 to BS2, at the point A and B, between the point A and B, handoffs must have to be done, otherwise the signal will be dropped. Okay, so that is shown in this figure, proper handoff as well as the improper handoff. So in the improper handoff, the level at point A, that is this point A. Okay, so when the car is at point A, the signal starts to drop. Okay, and there will be some threshold value. That is, what is meant by a threshold value? That is, they will set a value. Okay, you can go see that and come. Okay, hand of threshold. What is a hand of threshold? That is a signal level slightly stronger than the minimum usable signal for the acceptable voice quality. Okay, that is, there is a particular level. Up to there we get the good signal from the base station 1. Okay, if we go further means the call, there is a chance for call dropping. So if the signal will hand off to the if we hand over the signal before this threshold value means we can able to continue the call, otherwise the call will be dropped. So the threshold value, so here we are just using a del is equal to threshold value, that is del is equal to PR of handoff minus PR of minimum usable. If del is too large, if there is the threshold value is too large means there will be a unnecessary handoff, sudden handoff which will burden the MSE. If del is too small means there is a chance for dropping of the call. Okay, that is, there will be insufficient time to complete a handoff request. So in this, the first figure shows the improper handoff situation. Okay, so at the level point A, okay, that is this line. Okay, this line. Okay, this is the level at point A. This is the point where the handoff threshold. If the signal is hand over to another next base station before this means the signal will not drop. Okay, the call cannot be lost otherwise. So this is the minimum acceptable point. Okay, at least at this point the signal must be transferred to the next base station. If it comes to point B means the signal will lose completely. Okay, so here that is the improper handoff situation, and this is the proper handoff situation. Okay, this is so the signal is dropping, like here the signal is coming, that is here at this point the signal is handing over to the next base station. Okay, so that is the proper handoff. Handoff decision. Okay, handoff must ensure that the drop in the measured signal is due to the momentary. Suppose if there will be various things. Okay, shadowing effects will be there. That is, if a mobile we are using the mobile under some place where there is no coverage area, when we are using the same base station BS1 means in that place also there will be some portion where we didn't get the signal. Okay, that is due to some fading effects. Okay, that is not because of the need of handoff, that is just due to the fading off. So we have to check, so the handoff must ensure that the drop in the measured signal is not due to the momentary fading. Okay, and that the mobile is actually moving away from the serving base station, that we have to confirm first. Okay, that is, we have to check whether the mobile is moving from one base station to another base station. Okay, that is one cell to another cell. Okay, so that we have to analyze. That all will be controlled by the mobile switching center. Okay, so the running average measurement of the signal strength should be optimized so that unnecessary hands-off are avoided. So it just depends on the speed at which the vehicle is moving. Steep short-term average, the means the handoff should be made quickly. The speed can be estimated from the statistics of the received short-term fading signal at the base station. Okay, so it will just depend on all this. Then the next thing, dwell time. It is an important question. Okay, dwell time. Okay, what is dwell time? That is, if we are using the first single base station, okay, up to which portion the call is not cutting. Okay, that is the time over which a call may be maintained within a cell without handoff. That is the dwell time. It just depends on the propagation, interference, distance and speed of the vehicle or the mobile user. Okay, that is the dwell time. So handoff measurement. So in the first generation analog cellular system, the signal strength measurements are made by the base station and it is supervised by the MSE. That is the first case, the first generation case. These all will be measurements will be made by the base station and it is supervised by the mobile switching center. In second generation system, that is TDMA, handoff decisions are mobile assisted. Okay, so it is that is the if a mobile moves from one cellular system to a different cellular system controlled by a different MSC. Okay, that is the inter-system handoff. If a mobile moves from one cellular system to a different cellular system controlled by a different MSC, that is where we can say it as a roaming. Okay, so if we are moving from one state to another state, we the controlling MSC is different, so that is called the inter-system handoff. Okay, so before handoff is the important thing than the handling a new request. Okay, if you are making a new call means that is not important, the handoff is mostly important in that case. So the handoff consideration, there are different types of users that high speed. If a vehicle is moving fast, it, okay, low, we are just using the micro cells to provide capacity. Okay, what is micro cell that we can study? The MSC can become burdened if the high speed users are constantly being passed between very small cells. Okay, there will be large cell as well as small cell. Okay, so we can say the large cell with a single high power transmitter, okay, which cover the large portion. Okay, apart from that there will be small cells with small base station which can cover a small region. So if we use the concept that is high speed user can use the large cell and low speed user can use small cell means, what about the thing, the handoff strategy is that is if we are using the high speed, we are assigning uh, base large base station or the large cell base station which transmit high power to the high speed user means the handoff will be reduced, also the capacity can be improved. Large and small cells can be located at a single location, that is umbrella cell, that is different antenna height and different power levels will be there. Okay, cell dragging problem is there, that is the pedestrian users provide a very strong signal to the base station. So if it is a pedestrian user means he will get the full signal range from the tower, right? So it will provide a strong signal to the base station. The user may travel deep within a neighboring cell. So this is the large cell and small cell concept. Okay, large cell is called umbrella cell and it is controlled by the high power transmitter which cover a large area, and small micro cell for small speed traffic. Okay, suppose if you are using the high speed traffic umbrella cell for the high speed users means the handoff will be reduced. Other if the high speed users are using the micro cell means there will be a lot of handoff is necessary. Okay, so here there is umbrella cell, cell dragging handoff and soft handoff will be there. Types of handoff: hard handoff and soft handoff. What is hard handoff? Before making a connection with the next base station, the call will be cut. That is the break. That is break before make connection. Okay, then soft handoff. What is soft handoff? Make before break, that is making the connection before breaking the connection. Okay, that's all it's necessary for you. Handoff prioritization. There are two basic methods of handoff prioritization, that is God channel concept and queuing of handoff. What is God channel concept? In this, a fraction of the total available channel is reserved for the handoff purpose. Okay, that is, there will be some channels will be reserved for the handoff purpose. If a handoff request is came means they will take this reserved channels and allocate to them for the communication. And then next one is the queuing of the handoff, that is based on the first in first out. Okay, if first, and it will just decrease the probability of forced termination of a call due to the lack of the available channel. Okay, so here in the queuing of the handoff means first user will provide the first channel. Okay, so based on the queue it will allocate. Okay, so that is the handoff prioritization. This handoff is the important topic, so just concentrate on this more. Okay, thank you. If you have any doubt, you have to ask me. Okay.